And we're back. This is going to be my spoiler-full review of Spider-Man Far From Home. And in case there's any confusion about that, I know I speak English a little Southern, I'm going to break it down for you. If you haven't seen Spider-Man Far From Home and you don't want to be spoiled, please click away from this movie. It's still super early. Don't come and yell at me, y'all, I warned you. But me and Cassidy Quinn did a spoiler-free review of the movie, and if you'd like to view that, you can click the little tabby thing. Magic YouTube stuff, I'm fancy now. And the link will be in the description box below. So without further ado, let's talk movies. I spent most of my spoiler-free review talking about the things I loved about this movie, because that's easy to talk about without spoiling the movie. So I'll sort of breeze through the things I really loved. I loved all the teenage cringe. It was so cringy, it kind of made me like feel a little weird in my seat because I wasn't totally ready to be transported back to that awkward time in my life. Pimple face, black hair, too much eyeliner, black clothes, ooh. Maybe that wasn't your teenage experience, but it certainly was mine. And just how truly awkward a teenager can be. And I love how innocent they made Peter Parker. I mean, he's kind of a but he's a lovable and all he wants to do is hang out with his crush, and how teenage relatable is that? I just loved it. And I liked how in this movie we got to see more of MJ, who eventually finds out Peter Parker is Spider-Man and is very cool about it. She was super badass. She helps him fight, which is great, without question, and really holds her own, and everything she says is very sassy and very smart and very relatable. She's not like sassy for sassy's sake, though she doesn't make that joke that I hate, like when a guy in a movie calls a girl pretty, and they're like, oh, so now I have worth, and they're like, just kidding, so it's like a nod at feminism, but not really feminism, but she's pretty cool anyway, so I'm gonna let it pass, but probably stop making that joke, it's not funny. And Mysterio was, It wasn't Jake Gyllenhaal's fault. I don't need to give accolades to a very accomplished actor who is never gonna see this internet video. He did great. It was some of the It was some of the writing around his character that obviously he couldn't help. And I think it's because this movie had a lot to tackle. It had to tackle teenage love and teenage heartbreak and PTSD, and also Spider-Man taking up Iron Man's mantle, kind of. And then also, oh yeah, here's Mysterio, we have to fight a bad guy in this movie, is kind of what it felt like. So while Jake Gyllenhaal did a great job, and he played a very convincing Mysterio who's kind of insane in a way. I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal has those crazy eyes, so he did a good job. But just, it kind of seemed like sometimes Mysterio was the back storyline and I didn't really care about him that much. Not like you don't care about a bad guy, but you know, whatever. But Peter had to do the thing. He had to fight a bad guy. Because as a mischievous god once said, he is burdened with glorious purpose. And so of course he couldn't just be a normal teenager. I really liked the pseudo-friendship between Quentin and Peter, Quentin being Mysterio of course, and how that sort of all fell apart because it really plays into Peter's character. He's sort of trusting and he's naive and he's young and he's sweet and it really tugged at your heartstrings. But that wasn't the first time that Marvel duped us. But that really wasn't the first time that Marvel tricked us. In all of those trailers, if you don't know anything about Mysterio, you might have thought, hey, like he seems like a good guy, maybe he's like a new superhero. Nope. Of course not, Mysterio is a bad guy. But Marvel really done duped us because they didn't give us that multiverse scenario it seemed like they were gonna be giving us. Now, will we ever get a multiverse? Possibly. But in this movie, in the trailers, Quentin Beck said that he was from another Earth. Obviously, because that's kind of hard to disprove. But the things that he said were true. The Earth that we know with all the superheroes on it, Earth 616, is the established Earth in the comic books, and there are other Earths where other characters come from. So it is possible, just didn't happen in this movie. And honestly, I think that was kind of smart because this movie had a lot to deal with. It had to deal with, you know, all of the things that I said before, and also sort of looking back at Endgame. And it gets top marks for looking back at Endgame and also bringing all that stuff forward without wasting your time. And I think it would have been a really lofty goal to introduce a multiverse into this movie after we all sat through Endgame and there was just so much plot and my head is still reeling and I saw it months ago. So I think it was kind of smart on their end. It doesn't necessarily close off the idea of a multiverse forever. And it would have been a convenient way to bring in some characters that we might like to see. Some Fantastic Four characters, some X-Men characters, the Eternals, which is the next movie that's coming out. If we explored more of time and space, it'd be easier, I think, to bring in these characters, we would need them to fight time and space issues, probably. But maybe they are out there exploring more time and space, because this leads me to my next question. Where the hell are all our heroes? You mean to tell me that Captain Marvel, Thor, Doctor Strange, none of them, Black Panther, Bucky, Falcon, nobody is looking after Peter Parker, 15, 16-year-old Peter Parker, and they're like, you can handle this thing. It ends up that Mysterio isn't actually the threat that he seems to be. I mean, he kind of is, but most of his stuff is illusion. And though it is causing real world issues, they're not exactly monsters that feed on elements that are gonna blow up the world, which would have been obviously a world-ending event, that goes without saying. It ends up being drones and stuff like that, but at first they think it really is. They think it's really a big threat. And they just let Peter Parker handle it by himself? He's baby! Gah. You mean to tell me that Doctor Strange is out there with something more important than this? Doctor Strange's out there somewhere namasteing, like, please, please. I know that Thor is probably with the Guardians, and I'm sure Captain Marvel's off doing something important, and I know that Black Panther has all of Wakanda to look after, so like he gets a free pass, but like, where's Bucky? Where's Falcon? I don't like that. We didn't really see any characters from the expansive Marvel Universe in this movie except for Nick Fury and Maria Hill. Kind of. Because this leads me to my next question. What the hell are Nick Fury and Maria Hill doing? Because in one of the end credit scenes, by the way, there are 2 end credit scenes, so stay for them. I feel like I shouldn't have to tell you that. After 22 movies, I feel like you should understand that you need to sit through the credits. Like, it's an extra 5 minutes. You've already been sitting for 2 hours. Just sit the extra 5 minutes. And I wouldn't be so irritated in making these hands if I hadn't gone to the movie and seen it and watched like half the theater walk out. Is this your first Marvel movie? What are you doing? Anyway, stay for the end credit scenes, because the first one shows Maria Hill and Nick Fury, who have been in most of the movie corresponding with Peter and stuff, in the car driving, and then they turn into Skrull, Talos and Talos's buddy. I don't think they gave them a name, but okay. And then it shoots up to Nick Fury, who's in space with the rest of the Skrull. And I didn't really know what he was doing in space, so I gave it a little bit of a Google because I am a comic book novice. I like to talk about them, but I haven't read that many of them, not all of them anyway. So shout out to CNET writer Roger Chang, who wrote that it may be SWORD, which is an intergalactic sort of shield, and it stands for, I have to check my notes because I don't remember off the top of my head, it stands for Sentient World Observation and Response. So maybe he's working with Captain Marvel, who's going out and getting intel across space, and we really are opening up the universe more than obviously just Peter Parker in Italy with no multiverse. It's possible. It could parlay itself into the next movie, The Eternals, and could also parlay itself into Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Those are our space people right now, and also Captain Marvel. And it was really interesting to see the Skrulls. I love Captain Marvel, so I'm excited to see elements of her movie being brought in. That probably means we're going to see more of her, which is very exciting for me. However, that's what the real Nick Fury is doing, I guess, kind of. It showed him in a room where he got to see, like, the beach, and he was drinking, like, a frozen drink. And sure, he needs a break after Endgame, like, who doesn't? But we also didn't see where Maria Hill is, so what is Maria Hill doing? It concerns me that none of the other heroes were in this movie, and they're all off doing something else. Like, what are they doing? I mean, we'll see it in other movies, but, like, I need to know. So that was the first cutscene, and the second, what is my hair doing? The second cutscene was all the way after the credits, and there were so many because this movie had beautiful special effects, which means there were tons of people to work on them. So just sit patiently and sip your icy Coke water. The second one was that cute and sort of iconic imagery of Spider-Man swinging through with Mary Jane in his arms, and she was very cute in the end scene. She did not like it, but she was very brave, and I'm proud of her. However, we get to see one of my favorite and the most hated characters in all of Spider-Man Spidiness, J. Jonah Jameson. J. Jonah Jameson has a video from Quentin, who is Mysterio, that reveals Peter Parker's true identity. Not only does it reveal Peter Parker's true identity, but then he gives doctored footage that shows Spider-Man killing him. I mean, kind of, but not really. You know, like they were in a fight. He didn't like kill him, he just, anyway. So now the world thinks Spider-Man's a bad guy. because nobody has the intel that Spider-Man, Happy, his classmates had, where they were being attacked by Quentin's robots. Everybody thought that he was a good guy and that he was a new superhero and he was fighting these bad guys that he had made to fight, you know? So the world thinks Peter Parker is a bad guy. So there's a little bit of a hit on his head, it seems. It seems like he's going to become some sort of fugitive. So what's going to happen to him in the next movies? Is he going to go party in space a little bit with Nick Fury to hide out? Or is he going to do the Iron Man thing and come out and be like, I'm Iron Man? He doesn't really get that chance anymore. So he is taking the Iron Man mantle up, but he doesn't really get that chance to do that badass, like, this is me kind of thing. He's just sort of outed, which is rude and also dangerous because he's a teen and he has all these people that he loves that surrounds him, Ned and MJ and Aunt May and Happy, and yeah, so I guess we'll see what happens with that. Maybe S.H.I.E.L.D. will come and protect him, but S.H.I.E.L.D. seems to be on vacation, so I don't know. I'm worried about him, he's such a baby. Also, the Daily Bugle seems to be set up like InfoWars, and J. Jonah Jameson is made to be some like Alex Jones type person. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, is it wrong? No, but do I feel kind of triggered by it? Maybe a little bit. I don't know. I always really liked photographer Peter Parker. I don't know why, and I hope you find it endearing and not weird because it's a little weird, but when I was a kid, photographer Peter Parker inspired me to be a photographer. I don't know, I just wanted to be like Spider-Man, and then when I got older I wanted to be like Lois Lane. And so I went to school for photography. It followed me that long in life, and I still get to do it in my job today as an investigative reporter. But yeah, so I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't think he's gonna get a job at the Daily Bugle. He's already outed, and half of his shtick was taking pictures of Spider-Man because J. Jonah Jameson hates Spider-Man. So maybe he's gonna say, no, I'm not Spider-Man, and pretend, you know, make this sort of thing where and maybe he's going to use this to his advantage. Maybe he does become a photographer at the Daily Bugle, and he takes photos of Spider-Man to throw people off the trail that he is Spider-Man. That would make some sense, I guess, but also the fugitive theory also makes sense. So it could really turn his world upside down, or it could just be like, Spider-Man hijinks. I don't really know. Am I going to get the answers that I want? Not immediately. I'm going to have to wait some time because it looks like we're going to get the Eternals first and then probably Black Widow, and then after that, I don't know. Are we going to see Spider-Man in the Eternals movie? Probably not. It's like an origin story, so I really feel like there's not going to be a lot of time to see too many other people. They're space people, so they're probably going to be in space. If we see anybody else, we're likely to see Captain Marvel or maybe the Guardians of the Galaxy or something. I don't know. I don't really know much about the Eternals other than I tried to read the comic book once when I was little and I didn't like it. But now I'm an adult, so maybe I should give it another try. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know. And let me know what you thought of the movie. I know this is opening weekend. It came out this Tuesday. Today is Friday. So, you know, maybe you haven't seen it yet. But when you do see it, let me know. Drop a comment below or send me a tweet on the Twitter. I tweet on the Twitter. Sometimes I post pictures of my dog. It's super worth it. But I really loved this movie, honestly. I don't think I could have asked for a better movie to start off the next phase of movies after Endgame. I still feel emotionally ruined from this, and this one really touched my heart. It was very sweet, and I liked it a lot. So go see it. I'm sure you will if you have any interest in these Marvel movies. And yeah. A little bit of housekeeping. I went to IndieCon here in Portland and it was awesome. It was so great. It was just this awesome space where all of these really cool creators came and because it was kind of a smaller con, you got to sit there and talk with some of your favorite creators and some people who are creating really great work here in Portland. And so I'll have a look at that for you next week and some interviews, and I'll also try to get a comic review in there. And yeah, so I just want to let you know what's going on. As always, please drop me your comic book suggestions, again, on Twitter, or I have an Instagram, which is more dogs and also plants. And also, you can drop them in the comment box below. I would love to hear what you're reading, what I should be reading, what you're loving. Yeah, and it'll help guide these videos in the future. I'd love for them to be collaborative. But that's really all I have for you. I feel like I've talked myself in circles. I just have a lot of feelings, a lot of Peter Parker feelings. So, I'll see you guys next week. Same-ish time, same place. And until next week, this has been KGW's Comic Pick of the Week.